It's that time of the year again. And what better way to celebrate than to talk about FNaF fan games? You know me, I just gained out myself from discussing this dumb brown bear and the other 20 iterations of him. Besides, I'm getting withdrawals from not talking about FNaF, and I'm currently convulsing at extremely high speeds that shouldn't even be possible. But what should I talk about? I mean, I've already done the top 3 games I wanted to do. Automation, Dormitivus, Yap and Yell are already played and reviewed by yours truly. I mean, I still have those fan game oddities games on the back burner. I could talk about those. Maybe I could even make a FNaF timeline video with my thoughts on its lore. Ha! As if. I'm not ready to make myself living target practice for my comment section. Trust me when I say that I'm never letting that happen again. That still leaves my fan game oddities, so maybe I could talk about those. I'll just go grab them from my fridge and... well, they have to be in here somewhere. Well, crap. Guess I let them have broomball practice yesterday. Everyone was kind of riding my ass, so I don't blame myself. What am I going to talk about now? Well, herpes is always an option. I'm just kidding, of course, but there is one game I've been meaning to talk about for quite some time now. A game that, prior to release, had been shrouded in the mystery of if it was ever even going to release. A game plagued by controversy from its creator, its dev team, and its community at large. And that game would be none other than... Where to begin with this game? I feel like I have so much ground to cover with this game that I don't even know where to start. Well, I suppose we can start from the beginning. Juniors began development in 2020 with the lead director Derek, along with a small dev team working on said game. Soon thereafter, Romanoff, developer of Eddie and the Misfits, had joined the team and had become the second director and programmer of Juniors. The next year or so of this game's development is shrouded in mystery, with trailers and updates being periodically posted, along with small posts such as Q&As. But, on June 10th, 2022, all hell broke loose. A person named Liam Crush1 on Twitter had made a twit longer exposing Romanoff, along with fan game developers Ultra Knight and Necklace, for things such as plotting to leak content from multiple fan games, including Popco's Evergreen, rating botting to get their games higher on the feature tab on GameJolt, finding private information of developers, including Scott Cawthon himself, and just being general assholes behind the scenes. After this all came out, Romanoff decided not to release Juniors on its planned release date of June 17th and kept the game to himself instead. Soon thereafter, he was banned from GameJolt. After June 17th came and went, a 2-month-long game of awkward tug-of-war would transpire between Derek and Romanoff, with Romanoff trying to negotiate how he could release the game without being directly involved with the community. Eventually, they came to an agreement. And on August 20th, 2022, Junior was officially released to a resounding, "Oh, okay." Now don't get me wrong, people who knew about Juniors and were excited for its release after waiting for it for 2 years. But the game definitely took a while to gain any sort of significant traction outside of channels that mainly cover FNaF fan games. Well, alright, I think I've covered everything about the game before the game. Now let's talk about, well, the game. The game's prologue begins with your character waking up in an unfamiliar place, dazed and confused. As you begin to adjust to the area, you hear a crunch of leaves as a mysterious entity named Pallbear welcomes you to the Barrens, a sort of purgatory between life and death. Oh, I should probably mention this as a side note. The location Juniors is set in is actually supposed to be the unknown location seen in the Midnight Motor Syndicate game and Pizzeria Simulator. I know that's probably obvious, hence the name, but I know people were probably going to give me a flack if I didn't mention it. Anyways, back to the prologue. After this, Pallbear tells you that he was actually the one who brought you here so you could help him with some unfinished business, as he calls it. As you and Pallbear talk some more, he decides that he'll cut you a deal. If you help him with his unfinished business, he will help you with your investigation. I should also mention that in this game you play as an investigator trying to discover the mystery behind the strange hauntings of Juniors. As your character reluctantly agrees, you go to bed behind him and are transported to the gameplay. Before we begin, I must say that this game has some of the most fun gameplay I've seen in any FNaF fan game. It combines strategy, resource management, and the need to observe to make your conclusions into this neat little game that actually kept me on my toes at times. Well, what is the gameplay like? Well, how about you be a little more patient as I was getting to that, you little jerk. Anyways, you're sent in an office with 3 different directions to look in. with each direction serving a specific purpose. The direction you'll probably be looking in most of the time is the TV, also known as the camera system. This is what you'll use to spot any strange goings-on, such as lights flickering, cameras moving on their own, or handprints present on the camera lens. Once you find whatever you need to, you'll go to the maintenance panel to the left of the camera system to either call an animatronic for repair, or to say which animatronic is haunted, both things of which I'll talk about in a bit. Lastly, there is a room behind you which is where you'll go to repair called animatronics. Alright, I should probably discuss repairs now. In the maintenance panel, there is a section called stability control which shows the animatronic stability. The animatronics here are really crappy and old, so as such, their stability depletes very quickly. If your stability hits 0, you die. To repair an animatronic, you have to press the call button located next to their name, wait for them to get all the way down to the conveyor belt, which might, I mind you, takes a while, go to the room behind you, discard the animatronic's old chip, and replace it with a new one. Of course, this entire process sounds really complicated, but it's a lot easier than it sounds. Alright, now I'll talk about the hauntings. As I mentioned earlier, you have to watch on the cameras for flickering lights and the sort. Though the catch is you have to find which animatronic is haunted by finding which one is causing these occurrences. Freddy, Bonnie, Chica, and Foxy all pretty much function the same way. Whichever animatronic is causing specifically to happen is a haunted one. But Puppet and Balloon Boy are a bit more different. With the Puppet, you won't be able to see him on the camera by default, but if you turn on the camera's audio, where you hear the Puppet's music box, it is on that camera. Balloon Baby probably has the easiest mechanic. When possessed, his stability meter on the maintenance panel will glitch out. When you find which one is haunted, you then go to the maintenance panel, scroll to your character, then press space on them. If you're wrong, the character you pick takes a major hit on their stability that, in most situations, means game over. This gameplay, while simple, can get incredibly challenging in later nights as you try to strike a balance between finding who's possessed and repairing animatronics. Something else about this game is that there's no clock. How long a night takes is completely dependent on your ability to complete the task at hand. Also, every once in a while, Paul Bear will connect to your maintenance panel and give a hint of who's haunted, usually saying the animatronics to watch out for. There is a major change of gameplay later on, but I'll talk about that later. For now, let's move on to the story. As the nights go on in this game, you begin to learn more about the story of the Junior's location. While this game's story is incredibly vague in a lot of areas, I'll try giving a basic rundown. From what I gathered while playing the game, there is only one spirit possessing the animatronics, being a little girl. This little girl holds resentment towards Paul Bear and wants to destroy his spirit, which is actually why he needs your help in the game. Paul Bear needs your help to kill the spirit and put her to rest. Also, after every night, you get a VHS tape which details the story of Bonnie, Freddy, and Chica slowly assembling and being traumatized by a creature named the Mangle. The phrase "Beware the Mangle" is present in almost all the tapes. This is probably the ghost girl warning the player not to get in the way of her plans or there will be consequences. Eventually, all this talk of Mangle and such builds up to one of the most interesting nights I've played a FNaF fan game. Night 6. This night is amazing. It combines gameplay from multiple games to create an experience that feels both nostalgic and new. Before the night begins, you get a cool cutscene that is a pretty cool reimagining of the scene from the FNaF 2 trailer, and then you're thrown right into it. So this night takes place in the basement of Junior's, so why is it the same layout from FNaF 2? Who cares, it's cool! All the animatronics you have been facing throughout the nights of Junior's have all been torn apart by the ghost that has been haunting the place for so long. All the beaten and torn up animatronics especially look like the withers from FNaF 2, but I'm sure it's nothing. Along with the designs, the gameplay, at least in the first half, is pretty much FNaF 2 minus the toys. When an animatronic enters your office, you put on the mask to make them go away. BB and Puppet work the same way they did in FNaF 2 as well, although both get entirely new wither designs to fit with the cast, and I must say that these designs are really well done. Balloon Baby's once perfect porcelain face is now cracked and beaten in a way that's really creepy. The puppet's jaw has become almost completely severed from its head, revealing the rows of his jagged teeth. I need to stop talking about these designs, as I'll be talking about those later. These designs are both pretty solid. Anyways, back to Night 6. For the first half of the night, you're basically playing FNaF 2, but the second half puts a new spin on things. You lift up your laptop, now beaten up, as it reveals the animatronics slowly going into a room as they slowly combine together to make the Mangle, and the gameplay completely switches. If Mangle's owl comes through one of the vents, put on the mask. If you can't find Mangle, then he's probably in the hallway. Just flash her with a flashlight to make him go away. The ghost girl that has been trying to kill you has also now become an issue. She'll go up to a random camera and try to break it. All you have to do is hold the light on her to make her go away. If you don't, she'll steal your flashlight battery. Much like BB. While this second half of the night sounds simple enough, both characters are so active that it is insanely difficult to beat. I think it might have taken me a couple hours alone just to beat it, but I was on version 1, which didn't have a midnight checkpoint. After you beat it, you get a cutscene showing the little girl attacking Paul Bear planning to kill him. She says that his helper won't save him now, also implying that there's been several before us, and she'll get what she wants. Though we're there to save the day as we proceed to decloak and backstab her, and the game ends. We'll get a credit sequence and then a goodbye letter from Ronald that I can honestly not care less about. After that, you get an excerpt that reveals that the Juniors location is actually the location for FNaF 2. So yes, Juniors is the prequel of the prequel. But hey, after that you unlock 2 new modes, the extras menu among other things. The 2 new modes you unlock are Custom Night and Seniors, both of which I'll talk about in a bit. Honestly, Night 6 is a really interesting way to use our familiarity of the subject to its advantage to make something completely new. Despite its difficulty, I found myself having a lot of fun with this night. Anyways, let's move over to the post-game content. With Custom Night, it's pretty much what you'd expect. Set the number of captures, the activeness of each character, including the ghost, and a bunch of pre-made challenges. Though I must say that I'm yet to beat max difficulty. The other, and arguably more interesting game mode is the Seniors mode, which adds 2 more jork characters along with some cosmetic differences. In this quote-unquote DLC of Juniors, the place has officially reopened, non-canonically, as Seniors. This night is like a normal Juniors night, save 2 characters with entirely new mechanics. Wilbur from Weekdays at Wilbur's Remastered TM will show pop-ups on the maintenance panel trying to install Weekdays. Just close the tab when it pops up. If the installation finishes, Wilbur will break your conveyor belt, making you unable to repair the animatronics. The other new addition to the cast is Buford Box. Buford will slowly rise into your office and quickly deplete every animatronic's ability. All you have to do is click on him in the office and he'll go away. While these characters seem like simple additions, not only do they work together, but they're also extremely easy to forget, making this night really difficult as well. I actually like these new additions, but boy are they annoying. Other than that, there's not much else to talk about in terms of gameplay, but that doesn't mean we're done yet. Next, I want to talk about the designs of the game, its environment, and other things I noticed. I'll start off this segment by saying that its obvious junior selling point was its designs, and it's easy to see why. Every design here looks amazing. Freddy, while looking closer to his original design, has really small eyes and massive teeth, giving his face a real juxtaposition look that's designed to discomfort. Bonnie's design is given a furrier and slightly dark bluer hue of design, along with a pair of dark tinted glasses that give him this unfocused and blank stare that really creeps me out. Chica probably deviates the most from her original design, being given a cartoon sleepy character archetype design, complete with striped pajamas and a pair of fluffy slippers. Foxy's design, while at first glance not looking that much different, has a collection of piercings and is probably the worst for wear out of the main 4. Some things the main 4 have in common is that they all have this semi-realistic showbiz pizza design, along with all of them having this almost permanent gaping smile on their faces that never wavers or changes. Coupled with the lengthier and longer body designs, and you've got some genuinely creepy designs that can unsettle most people. With Balloon Baby, rather than having a cartoonish design similar to Balloon Boy, he has a more baby doll-like design with these glassy eyes and smudged face paint. I generally find him to be the most unsettling, but maybe that's just my childhood fear of dolls talking. The puppet also has a unique design. Its eyes are highly dilated, along with its face being more human-like than the original puppet. Its body is highly slim, almost skeletal. It is also canonically the tallest character, considering its face isn't even in frame in the repair room. And yeah, all these designs do a really good job of capturing that feel of creepy enough to scare adults, but not creepy enough to scare children. I think all these designs are highly detailed and are genuinely realistic. They're all just amazing designs. Let's talk about the environments next. These environments are amazing. Each one of them feels like they could be their own liminal space rooms. All the rooms give off this childlike empty vibe. I won't go into each of the rooms here, but they're all extremely good. Lastly, I'll talk about the music. The use of music in this game is unlike any FNaF game I've seen before. All the music is great, but I want to talk about Night 6 in particular. Firstly, the music used is an amazing remix of FNaF 2's trailer music, which I just think is really cool. Using music from the past to introduce your new ideas is just a great use of resources. Secondly, the way the night syncs with the music. When the mango building cutscene begins playing, the music stops and then begins to build tension in a way that feels like the boss has refilled its health. When the mango segment begins, the music drops and the environment changes, which is just actually awesome. And when the night calms down, so does the music. More fan games should do this. It is such a cool way to have a boss fight. Anyways, I think it's about time we wrap things up. In short, Juniors is a game that pushes new boundaries in not only design, but in gameplay. I think this game has set a standard for FNaF fan games. A standard that shows that a FNaF fan game doesn't have to have you close a door or use a light to be well done. I think this game has the ability to pioneer entirely new game mechanics for future FNaF fan games. While the most important person working on the game turned out to not be a very good person, I think this is just another case of having to separate creator from creation. And besides, everyone else did a really good job with the stuff they worked on in the game. The passion of this game is just oozing out, and it's not hard to tell. My final rating is 9 owl puppets out of 10 animatronic dental planes. Alright, that's all. See you later.